Yeah, that's okay, man.
So how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good, considering the circumstances, like it is what it is. But I think, with everything, I don't know if you heard, but I guess Doug Ford said that Ontario's opening up a little bit. So hopefully, like that's kind of a good sign, right? But yeah,
Uh, I
like,
I agree. It's a good sign. You got to be slow and steady.
mhm.
He's not opening communities. He's opening all of Ontario, but it's going to be in stages with schools apparently being last.
More like never.
Never. Yeah. I've got family in the States and with teachers in the family, and they said they possibly may not go back in September. That's a little bit concerning for the kids and the teachers.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is, and they got to do what they got to do, right, to keep people safe. You know, in Chatham, I don't know if you heard, like, there's only been say like 89 cases. I'm probably wrong, but one person that died, and she was like 81 or something like that. So, is a virus deadly? I mean, not according to the stats, it's not, but it's definitely not a virus that is just, it's not just a borderline, uh, yes, if you're old, you're gonna die from it. If you're young, you're fine. Well, no, there's been it's been proven that there's younger people that have died from it who are totally healthy. So it's definitely not something I would gamble in my life with. So, we got to be careful and we got to take the measures, right?
I'm glad you brought that up because there's a lot of different factors, and we hear a lot of things, I think, from a lot of different sources that may or may not contradict each other. So
Hmm.
one source says it only gets older, one source says that it'll get everybody. And now you're hearing about different people and different symptoms.
Yeah.
And we use the term risk factors. So a lot of the elderly, some, not all, have risk factors, right? It attacks your lungs, whether you COPD, emphysema, things like that. That brings you at a higher risk. Chronic diseases, diabetes, that is also a higher risk. And it affects other people differently. Some people may have cold, flu like symptoms, other people may just feel tired, and now you're seeing it with kids and middle-aged older adults, nerve pain. So that becomes what's the next step, and how long is this affecting the body with nerve damage?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's crazy that you brought that up because I just read something today, and you were kind of mentioning how you have different sources and whatnot. So everything you read, a lot of things you read on the internet isn't true. Some things, of course, are. But I read something about how I think with children it also causes liver damage and or liver failure. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's like you just kind of figured this out now. Unless if it's continuously if the virus is continuously mutating, then okay, I could kind of understand that. But to affect your liver too, I don't know.
It, it's a big different story. Uh, as you know, like I'm second year RPN, we don't get too deep into it, but
Right.
I think the more you read, the more you can understand, and you have to find those good sources for this. If it's in, let's say, this virus is going through your body, well, it will affect organs and it will affect other things. If we're just finding out this now, has this been under the radar? Has this been only affected by so many people? Or are we just not looking at that? We were more looking at the cold flu symptoms. And when you look at a mutating virus, like you said, it could affect me different than it affects you, and we're both young and healthy individuals.
100%.
And with kids or older adults, kids and their immunity is different than middle aged people. And then you may have compromised immune system, which may be not able to fight it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you like, and I guess a lot of people have talked about this too, with people staying in home for so long and not being exposed to just viruses that are just naturally occurring in the outside world. I think that I think with that, it's going to more people are going to get sick in the second wave, which they have said that there will be more than likely. Um, I think that more people are going to get sick because they're not as exposed. Everyone's staying home. How are people going to get sick? How are you going to build up your immune system? And this is not just with the coronavirus, but if you look, you go to gyms and you go to like gyms, any business place you go to, they have hand sanitizer. I'm not saying keeping your hands as clean is a bad thing, but like if you take kids for example, it seems that nowadays like kids don't play outside like they used to, not like how we used to. And at least back in the day, you get your hands dirty, and kids don't wash their hands. Part of that I think is not a bad thing because then the more they get exposed to bacteria, things like that, the more they build their immune system, and they're better able to fight things off. Like for myself, I haven't been sick. I haven't had the flu since I was in college, and it wasn't even much. It was very much. It was more like a stomach flu. So besides that, I haven't had the actual strain, like flu strain, since I was like 13. Um, I mean colds. I get colds all the time. Like that's colds. I don't know if there's really much you can do about that. It's pretty highly contagious. Um, but with flu, I never got sick. So I don't know. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think I like that you covered a variety of topics there. If you look at it, it seems to me it's a double-edged sword. So you can totally isolate like we've been doing on one hand. You're inside, try and not go out, cover your face with a mask, not see anybody, things like that. So you're covering that end. The other end, like you said, was is my immunity any lower from what I've been hearing or reading? It could be. You're not going out, you're not exposing yourself, as you say. For us, does it change? In my opinion, I'm going to say I'm about a 5 out of 10 on that. It may change, it may not. I still go outside. I still work outside. I still go for a walk and try and get my exercise in, but I try and not be around people. So there's that catch 22. When we open Ontario up again 100%, I think people are a little impatient now, which is totally given in the human race. And we're eager to start doing things again. You've been cooped up and going a little cabin fever, stir crazy,
Hmm.
that you want to do things. Are we still being careful? I'm going to assume half people will be careful and the other half will just go back to normal life, right?
Yeah, and there's people that I know that are have that have that attitude about it, and I completely understand. Like you said, we're all human. Like we're all gonna get that feeling of being bored and having nothing to do. That's completely normal feelings. Um, but then there's some people who are just saying, "Oh fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever I want," kind of attitude. And I mean, like I mean, you're free. You're as far as I'm concerned, you're free. You have the free will to do whatever you want. You're right, but the attitude behind it, like I'm like, what gives you that privilege? Like, I understand, like if someone has a view on the virus and they think that this virus isn't as bad as they think it is, so they have that attitude of I want to do whatever I want. Okay, I get that, but you think the government just asks people to stay home to piss people off? Like it's interesting how people are using this thing like, oh, the government, they're taking away their jobs. It's like, well, no, people are asking people to stay home because people are getting sick and people are dying from it. If people weren't dying from it, yeah, they'd probably be like, hey, wash your hands, it's gonna suck. You might get the flu, you might get feeling a little sick for for a week or whatever, but you're gonna be okay. If that was the case, they wouldn't be closing everything down. And the problem with it is like I was saying before, this virus is not it's not a straight road kind of thing. Like it's a bit of a gamble. Like some people are gonna survive and some people might. Most of the people so far have survived it. I think it was like 4% of the cases right now people have died from it. So yeah, that's great. But why would people want to take the risk and gamble with their life just to enjoy things? Like yeah, it's like yeah, we get how you feel, but we're all doing this exact same thing too. So why do you feel you're any special?
I bring it back to that whole human nature again.
Yeah.
So one word that comes to mind is safe. In one instance, you can be as reckless as you want, but you also have to be safe. Come home, wash your hands. If you're with your kids, your family, think about that aspect. Wear a mask. You can still do whatever you want, but just have that little aspect of safe, because you're not only affecting yourself, you could affect other people in your life. As an example, everybody here hasn't had their hair cut in a month or more, and
Yeah.
everybody's freaking out, and everybody's going, "I need my hair colored. I want my hair cut." It's just a service. Okay. So you may want your hair cut, but you don't know that your hairdresser or barber has a condition where they can't see other people that are sick. You know that, or they just don't want to. Human opinion again, it's about me. I want my hair cut no matter what the cost, but my hairdresser or barber may not want to cut my hair. How is that possible? Are they going to put a plastic bag over everywhere and cut your hair? So we still have little things to figure out something like that.
Yep.
Another word that comes to mind is loss. In today's society, we're very rushed, and seems like the stress is more, but everybody's at a loss because not a lot of people are really making money. Businesses aren't making money. Families now with older kids like us or younger kids, they need to find something to do. You're always still paying groceries and bills are still coming in, but there's not a lot of money coming in. And the
No.
government's at a loss because nobody is working, nobody's putting money into the pot. And then the government now has to hand out assistance money. So everybody's losing money. And and that affects everybody. It's a sad situation. I
Hmm.
hope we learn from that, right?
Well, and that's it. This whole thing, and it blows my mind how people are coming up with conspiracy theories saying like this is population control and this is all about the government wanting control. And it's like the government is also they're all, like yes they're working and they're still making money, but it's not like they're gaining much because the problem is they're also going to suffer too because now it's making their job way more stressful. And yeah, they might be still making their money, they're getting their salary, et cetera, because they have to work, as well as any other essential worker. But they're still that just makes their job so much harder. So why would they make their job any harder than it needs to be? Um, but yeah, everybody's suffering, or suffering, but everybody's in the same boat. Whether you're working, you're not working, you're waiting to get back to work. Um, like for myself, like I'm still working. Now, with community living, I was still working, but with the one department that's at my work that I was getting extra hours with, I can't do that right now. So I lost out on that, and then I had two contracts one in Wallsburg, and I was potentially going to have another one with the same family, and but that kind of fell through just because with everything going on. Of course, like I would go back to it once everything goes back to normal, but I mean, like that could be another year. Um, so we're gonna see with that. Um, but I'm still working, so I'm fortunate. But even at work, like I'm still going in and I have to wear a mask, and I'm still going in thinking, is it gonna be the day? Is it gonna be my day where I get sick? Um, I try not to think that way because you know the risk is not very high. Like we barely have any cases in Chatham, but you really don't know how many true cases there are because there could be like 100 people right now who barely have any symptoms. They don't even know that they have it. They could be waking up and having a stuffy nose and thinking, yeah, the pollen's coming out, and I'm susceptible to allergies. Um, so it's it sucks for everybody right now, as you said. But I was gonna ask, are you still working or?
As a student, I'm in school and we're
Oh,
kind of
right,
gridlocked. I won't go deep into that right now, but everything stopped. The hospitals aren't allowing, or the ministry isn't allowing students to go into the hospital. We
right,
are just have to wait because at this point, in my opinion, we're the next best resource as students. We have the knowledge, we're ready to work. We need the experience of clinical placement first, get our license, see what we want, and go. If we go in and we get sick, and the people who are working there are already burnt out, and somebody there possibly gets sick, then who can you rely on? You know
right.
that's my key factor. Am I don't like to use the term bored, but am I bored at home now? A little bit. You almost have to find stuff to do or get in a routine,
Hmm.
review your notes, see what you can do as the next step because it's just a waiting game right now. Uh, the word that comes to mind when you were talking about community living or working is fear. When human nature as well is about fear. You go to a doctor's office or walk down the road or you're in a grocery store, for example, and somebody coughs. What do people do? They look at them and they wonder, what's up with them? They're in fear. Do they have corona? What's going on? And you have to say, oh, it's just allergies. Oh, I'm allergic to this. Oh, sorry, I sneezed. So there's a lot of fear going on here now, right? You can go up to somebody and cough and you'll really freak them out. Are you sick? Do you want to pull a prank? That's a bad prank right now if you want to do it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a
Open and
little
fine.
bit of a fear factor thing. What do we do next? That's kind of the question, or what can we do next, right?
Yep.
I think as Chatham Kent, we've did really good together as a community. A lot of people are rallying for these hero drives. They drive around to places and honk. And if you look at Chatham Kent as a whole, or compare it to Windsor Sarnia, they're a big city together. Chatham Kent is a pocket of little cities. So we're lucky that these little cities can kind of are self-sustaining. People from Wallaceburg can sort of stay there, go to Walmart and do their thing, and Dresden stays in Dresden and nobody really commingles unless you really have to, which I think has kind of saved us a little bit
Hmm.
compared to London, you're still together, and Sarnia and Windsor. The only real kicker here in Chatham, uh, I hate to say, was community living. They had what, 5 or 6 people there that had it, as well
Yeah.
as Green Hill Produce. They brought the number up really high. Whatever happened there, we won't know, but I'm glad everybody's okay.
Oh, me too. I agreed. Um, yeah. So I guess we could keep going on about COVID-19 and like the last 3 or 4 podcasts I've had has just been like COVID-19. Like half of it's been COVID-19 in the last couple ones. But so you said that you're in your second year for RPN, right? Because I
Correct.
think the last time I saw you, you actually were having an exam the next day, right? Or like,
Yep. That was Super Bowl. I host an annual Super Bowl party every year. We'll see what happens next year if this pandemic is still going on.
yep.
But and we were lucky the last 2 years of a 2 year program. Super Bowl Sunday, I've always had a test on Monday. I think that's just either luck or karma. I'm not sure.
You gotta wonder if they purposely do that. Like, hey, we gotta get that. We gotta put that test on that Monday
Right?
before
They couldn't
before.
even do it before or after. You got to do it on that Monday exactly at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Hey, thank you very much. Right?
Yeah.
Uh, as you were saying, most of your podcasts have been about COVID. Let's switch it up here. And how do you think gyms will be affected?
Well, actually, someone someone that went to my gym, or she was at my gym, and then I went to a different gym, and we went back to the same gym, and then we were actually we were trained by the same person. Like we both had the same like coach.
Yep.
But I've been kind of chatting with her on and off just about different things. Like she runs like a fitness program right now. Like she does like online like classes and stuff. So she added me to the group. So I do a couple of them once in a while with her. But I was chatting with her and she mentioned, I think it was last night I was talking with her, and she mentioned that I guess Good Life. So Good Life, I think there's Good Life Canada, and then I think Good Life also owns Fit for Less. Like
That's correct.
they're like under the branch of Good Life.
Right.
And she mentioned something about they are trying to plan on reopening for July 1st. And I guess it sounds great. Like I want to sound optimistic here. It sounds great, but I just don't really see it happening. And the reason why I'll say that is because yes, Ontario's opening. However, I think the problem with it is, yes, they've opened up provincial parks. They are discussing, I heard they were discussing like opening up like golf courses because that's an ideal sport. I mean, you're not in contact with anybody, and you're not really doing a whole lot. But yeah, so I heard that they're going to open up the gyms, and I just don't think it's a good idea. Just because you, like, even if they said, we're only allowing 10 people in the gym. It's just not a good idea because all it takes is one person not to wipe off a machine, someone touches it, and then bam, and then that person gets in, and they touch something. I just don't think it's a good idea. As much as I want to see it happen, and I'm a big gym guy, and I'm right now working out at home sucks. Um, I think it's just best that we just wait until we get the vaccine, and then that way, like anything else that's related with larger populations together, until we get a vaccine, I think that needs to be held off. But I mean, that's not up to me to say. So I guess what we were talking about earlier. I guess you just have to be safe. If they decide to open it up and they start charging me membership, okay, I'm not gonna argue with that. Like, sure, I'll go, and I'll be as safe as much as I can. You use common sense, right? Keep your distance, wipe everything off, wash your hands. I think that's great, and I definitely go. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that works out. I know
I
there's a lot.
definitely, I'm sorry I interrupted there. I
It's
definitely
okay.
agree with you to an extent for that. Working at home is okay. Personally, I don't mind it. I find different workouts online. I like Fitness Volt. I don't know if you've ever used that, but
No.
it's a website, and bodybuilder.com, they locked up all their programs, so you have to pay a membership to view them. So I no longer, thanks for that. Uh, Working out at home is good. I just don't have the weight itself to really build muscle. I can condition, I can stretch, I can do that, but you need that heavier weight for a little bit of resistance. Getting
100%.
back to opening the gyms, I don't think it's a good idea right now because how would you limit it? You're going to wear a mask and go for a run. That doesn't sound good. I'm going to go wear a mask and lift heavy weights and need my breathing. That doesn't sound good. Gyms are uh, uh, how do I say it, a breeding ground for bacteria. You're sweating all over, you're touching everything. Like you said, you may or may not wipe down your machines or hope somebody behind you wipe down a machine. And if you miss something somewhere, like a treadmill or um, in between the weights somewhere, that could bring it home to somebody. And if you're limiting 5 or 6 people in a gym, again, you could have a machine that is being used by 2 or 3 people in a row, and that's not good either. And you said a membership. I think I read somewhere that you look at Good Life and they have so many members, thousands of members across Canada, and they're losing money right now because they still have to pay rent on all their buildings and bills on all their buildings. So their big net money in the bank is going lower and lower. So they want to open their gym so they start making money.
And that's understandable. Like that's I get that. Like they're a business. That's just how it is, and they got their families to feed, or they got kids to feed, and the CEO, he's got people to pay, and it's unfortunate, but a lot of people are in the same boat, and we only can. The thing is, we gotta do whatever we can, and we just hope that we can help. Like I can't see the not good life, but the Fit for Less in Chatham. It wouldn't close, because they all know that once a gym, like once everything goes back to normal, like completely normal, and they open up the gyms and everything's good. Oh, it's gonna be like memberships are gonna go through the fucking, or excuse me, are gonna go through the roof,
Right.
and yeah, it's just gonna be intensely, it's gonna be crazy busy. It's gonna be like it'll be almost like Chatham opening up a gym for the first time ever, and it's gonna be like busy for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then things will go back to normal where people are like, "Oh, I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm not going today." So we'll we'll see what's going on. Hey, I gotta ask you, man. You were talking a couple times. I had to look at all the Star Wars stuff. Is those comics or?
Yeah, I have two comics behind me. I'll get them down right now and show you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show me, dude.
I have one here I bought at the Chatham Toy Show, and it's Star Wars Tales. I've never got into it yet, but I've heard that one's a pretty good one. The next book here, I haven't seen it. It's the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge cookbook.
Oh, okay.
Galaxy Edge is the new Star Wars and Disney, and that's the cookbook of all their restaurants and that. This was a wonderful gift I got from my friend Lauren. Thank you very much. And in the back here, once I get good gifts, I tend not to open them. It's kind of a fan thing to see later on down the line, A, they might be worth something, or I think it gives a value that it's still closed. I'm not sure how many people do that, but I just think it's my little quirk. And this one here is a Christmas 15 days of socks. So you have Star Wars socks, and there's 15 different ones inside.
Oh,
I
really?
also got that as a gift for Christmas, and I think that's really neat. We'll just lay it in the back there.
That's pretty sweet, man. Sorry, just curiosity took me over.
No, that's okay. I do like the cups in the background there. I don't know if you want to pull one down and tell a
Uh,
story about one.
yeah, sure. Sorry, my chair's not like mobile, so I have to like sit here.
Those are really
Try-
Bavarian drinking mugs.
yeah, I'm trying to find a really, really good one. Okay. Um, a lot of them are all like the German kind of style, but I'm trying to find one of my favorite ones. They're not mine, by the way. Okay. Okay, this one would look more like a. Okay, so the story. Okay, so the story behind all of it. So this is. I'll just give you an example. Kind of like what it.
Right there, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So, interesting enough, these are actually most of these are actually my grandfather's. He died when I was like 10, um, and he I can't talk today. He given all these to my dad,
Yep.
and some of them my dad. I'll just kind of turn my camera, but some
Oh,
of them,
wow. There you
yeah,
go.
some of them my dad did buy. Just like my dad tends to like to he likes to buy a lot of like different things like this. Well, see, he bought a bunch of them like at I'm trying to think, not like secondhand stores.
Yep,
Trying to
yep,
think, Goodwill, Goodwill.
yep, yep.
He bought a couple of them at Goodwill, and so he kind of has a couple in his collection. But a few other ones he actually, I think he bought in Europe when
Yep.
my parents went to Europe. Oh God, like probably over 10 years ago now, and yeah, yeah, they're pretty cool. I actually was talking to my dad. I said, "Hey, Dad, like, is it a problem if I use one of them to like drink beer out of? I just want to do it like once, just to say that I did. It's
Yep.
not so much. It's not gonna do anything, but just the kind of like way to say, yeah, I had some beer out of that. Like, it's pretty cool. It's kind of a different old style, and but like I said, I think this one's like a Bavarian one. That's
Yep.
kind of what I'm getting, either German or Bavarian. Um, yeah. but they're pretty cool. Actually, this now that I'm kind of showing you all the cups and everything, yeah, because I don't think you've never been to my house yet.
No, I
Uh,
haven't.
oh, you're gonna have to one of these days. I'm gonna throw a party. Well, unless I move out first. But yeah. So this room used to actually be like what am I trying to say like a man cave.
Yeah, that's why it
So
says man cave right there.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. But yeah, so like those cups have always been there. Um, and then obviously you probably could see some of the signed pictures.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
You can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, no, just I unplugged my mic for a second. But yeah, so there's a bunch of like signed pictures all over the wall, a bunch of sports memorabilia, things like
Oh,
that.
there you go. That looks good.
Yeah, like majority of it's my dad's. Um, just with he collected a whole bunch. Currently, right now, this is more for the viewers. Just because I'm bringing it up. My dad's actually he is not giving away, but he's selling the whole 1984 Tigers like team um, from the World Series, and I'm not too sure how much he wanted to sell it for, but he had a number in his head. Um, yeah, and that I don't really understand why my dad wants to sell it. I think he just wants more room on the wall so he can put all like the Hall of Fame any sport up on the
Yep.
wall. So yeah, that's kind of what that was half the reason why. But he just wanted to collect it just to say he had it, and now he wants to resell it. So that's kind of what that's his plan right now. So eventually, once I move out, because I'm looking to buy a condo, actually, I would have probably had a condo by now, but with everything going on, it kind of cut everybody's plans. So, um, but once I move out, he's probably gonna turn it back into like a man cave. Currently, actually, where I'm sitting, we used to have like a pool table here. It was like
Yep.
right in the middle of the room. So it was kind of like a man cave. It kind of looked kind of like a bar kind of scene. Um, I did kind of want to build a bar in here, but my parents don't really drink, so it wouldn't have really made much sense. But if I made something like currently, that's kind of a project I want to do right now for when I move out is to build a like a mobile bar, like just a small little thing that you could buy. Like not necessarily does it come with a house, but just something that you could easily two or three people carry up the stairs, so you can it's mobile, right?
Yep. Yep.
Uh, so that's kind of currently a plan of mine, and it's not hard to do. It really isn't, especially if you make something really basic. So that's currently what I'm doing right now.
Now, you said there you were thinking about buying a condo.
Mhm.
I feel a lot of people are going that route. What is your decisions that made you go condo over a house?
Okay, this might take a while to explain, but I'll here it is. So actually at the beginning when I was getting the itch to move out, so sorry, this freaking chair. Um yeah, so when I was getting the itch to move out, I was planning on buying a house. And I thought about it for a while and my parents kind of talked me out of it. And they said, "No, it's not a bad idea. It's a good solid investment, but why don't you buy a condo? Because, how much room do you really need?" And I thought about it more. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. He's like, and they're like, well, you could get a decent condo in Chatham, buy one. Even if you get a second bedroom and you don't want anybody to move in for a while, then you have extra room to put in whatever you want. But even if you do and you want a roommate, then they're paying maybe over half of the payment a month or even more. So you might have that extra money coming in, and currently, obviously, I have a girlfriend. She has her own house in Courtright,
Yep.
and
Wait, that's the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
it pretty much is like you got like Chatham, Wolfsburg. Then I'm trying to think what's that place that has a ferry going to the states?
Maybe Sombra
Sombra,
would
yes.
be next.
You have
Yes.
Sombra, Oil Springs, and then there's Courtright. They're pretty much like a minute or two apart from each other. But yeah, and then you have Courtright, Corona, Sarnia. So it's kind of in the middle of Sarnia and Wolfsburg. So it's not terribly far away. But like we're going on like 7 or 8 months. So we're almost at a year. So there are thoughts about things being, getting serious for sure. So, what's to say like in a year and a half that we want to move in together, or, like I've already had that talk where it gets really awkward. Like, I don't want to, jump ahead or anything, but,
Yep, yep.
we've had that talk, and, as of right now, we're just staying we're keeping things at where they're at. But like I said, let's just say that, in a year, things really get serious. We want to move in together. So, I could easily say, hey, let's get a place together, or, whatever, I moved in with her or whatever. I could easily either sell my apartment, and that the market's going to go up. So either I got to sell it and get my money back with the loan, or I could just keep it and just rent it out to people. Especially if I can get a condo by the college there, because you're gonna have college kids flying in all the time,
Oh,
and that's
definitely. Yep.
guaranteed income. And so, say you get a kid that's gonna be in college for a couple of years, you have a couple of years of one kid in college. So I could easily get two people to pay off the mortgage, and then some, and maybe some extra money on the side. So I could make an investment that way. So that's kind of what I was kind of thinking about, buying a condo, and then that way, in case things happened with my girlfriend or whatever, you never can see the future. I mean, I'm not, you know, I everything's great right now, but I'm just saying, if things were to
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
like, you know, then at least I have my condo, right? So
Right.
I'm kind of leaning towards, if I were to move in with her, I would rather keep it and just rent it out to people. And then that way, if something's happened, then I can just, kick the boot to people and be like, hey, you got to leave. And then I would get my apartment back. So that's where I'm standing right now.
I
Um,
think you have a good plan there. In instance, it's time and investment. So
uh-huh.
you look at now the way that the world is going, people want to leave and go on vacation and go. When you have something like a condo, lock the door and leave. That's it. Easy. When you have a house, there's a lot of other responsibilities there.
Mhm.
Hey, can you watch it so nobody breaks in? Hey, can you just go in, maybe check the house that nothing's happened? When you leave for a long time, you have to shut off the main water. Your investment there in a condo, let's say you do your plan, you get your condo for a year, hold it a little bit, and you still like it. You move in with your girlfriend and find somebody. Now you have an investment property that you can charge rent for. You have to pay off your condo first, and then you're making money, which would take a good amount of time, depends on the price. But then you have an investment for later. If you buy a
100%.
house now, look at the house is more of a seller's market than a buyer's market as of right now. With a
100.
house, then you have mortgage, which is all dependent on your down payment. A lot of people are going condos because they can't afford that down payment option
Mhm.
or the new mortgage option. Your condo could be $1,200 a month, depending which one you buy. Your mortgage could be less, but you need a higher down payment. Now, with your house, you have to cut the grass, you have house upkeep. Oh, I need a new roof. Oh, there's a water leak. My toilet broke. There's other additional things that you may need with a house. In turn, maybe it's a better investment down the way. Our parents bought a house, and now if they sell their house, they can maybe double or more with their money. Us is a different story. We'll buy a house and maybe we'll get the same, if a little more, but we will never double.
Mhm.
If we buy a house for 300,000, hopefully it will be 600, but that's unrealistic
No,
because
no.
especially in Chatham here, where I think the average wage, yes, we have a lot of people that earn a good money and we have a lot of people that earn okay money. I say the average wage is maybe 17 to 20, and your house price is 300,000 plus. You'll be on a mortgage for 20 years or more, depending on how you spend your money or what you do. So I
Oh yeah.
think you have a good option the way that you're going there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And when you were kind of mentioning about the upkeep, that was another factor too. I'm like, you know what? If I live in a condo, I don't have to worry about the roof. I don't have to worry about the shoveling. I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons, right? I mean, those are the pros that you're kind of discussing. But I mean, the cons, you got to live by people, right? But if you're, if you don't have a family, even if you have a family, that's not terrible, right? Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're living by other people, and I wouldn't be as worried about someone breaking into my apartment versus a house, because apartments, no one's probably gonna break into your apartment unless if the door is unlocked and someone just happens to unlock it. Well, then you're screwed. I mean, that's you gotta lock your door. But I wouldn't be too worried about someone trying to break into my apartment versus a house. So yeah, like those things like that really do push me or push my decision over to get a condo. Um, but yeah, I'm quite excited. I'm excited to move out and learn to live on my own. Like, not to say I don't pay rent here, because I do. I do pay rent to live at home. Maybe not ideally what you would pay if I had a condo with, like, condo fees and mortgage and all the other accoutrement that comes with it, if that's a
Yep.
word. um, and so like it's you know right now I'm still living at home, so that's what I'm focusing on. Just keep saving my money, and yeah, I'm trying to think of that word. I heard that word before, accoutrement. Like, I feel like I heard it in a movie before, and I love using the word. I don't even know if it like means like extra, but I'm gonna say it.
It, I like that term that you used, rent, and you live at home and you say you pay rent. I use the term contribute to household. Yes, you're paying it to your parents, but you're actually contributing to your own household. Maybe that rent helps them with groceries, helps them with upkeep, electricity, this and that. That's
Oh,
the same as
100%.
myself. I pay for what I can help out with, and then we can go from there. When you pay rent, you're paying it to a landlord, and that landlord uses it for either putting it in his pocket, gaining more of his own equity, or upkeep to the place you're living. When you pay rent at home, it just, to me, contributes to your household. Your parents may use that money, save that money, they may give that money back to you, whatever their plan is. But I see it as that too, because you're there. You may help out cooking, or you may help out snow shoveling and cleaning. So you're just, you're being there. And I'm sure your parents will miss you and your contributions to the house when you leave. It's a catch-22 with parents and kids, right?
Yeah, it does.
And if you say you don't miss them when you leave, I'm going to say that's going to be a difficult thing to say, because you've lived at home so long, and like I've lived outside of my house in residences and in Windsor, and that and home is always your home. You can be home by yourself, but when you come home to your parents, that's a different feeling, right?
Oh, well, yeah, because that's all you've known for at least 15 to 20 years.
Right.
So, like like, yeah, that's all you've known for the last 15, 20 years. So, when you move out, I think for sure that I'm gonna be getting that feeling when I move out. Like, I think the first week or two will be nice. I'll be like, yeah, I got my own space, my own rules. But after a while, I'm sure it will click in, and I'll be like, wow, like this is where I'm living. I'm not living at home, home.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, man.
Let's give you another quiz question here about moving out. Now, you need to have what I call life skills to move out. You need to be kind of self sufficient, with
Yeah, lots of
yourself,
shit.
exercise, and stay healthy, low stress and whatnot. Kind of keep yourself up. But the next life skill that I say, nobody can survive without food. Do you cook? What kind of foods do you like to cook?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up. So I'm kind of like a health kind of guy. So I like to do a lot of whole foods, and I'm aware that that's not going to be as realistic when I move out. I mean, to an extent, I think. You look for sales, and you try to save your money that way, and you try to beat around the bush about with dieting. But yeah, I tend to like on a daily basis. I actually have a meal plan that I eat every day. I know it sounds crazy, but I really do, and it kind of sucks sometimes. Like especially with the quarantine, like I literally my dad just baked a bunch, or no, my mom just baked a bunch of cookies today, and I'm looking at them at the table. I'm like, fuck, because like, it's unfortunate. Like I really want it, but I know to get to my goal and to stay healthy and to get to my goal, I can't be eating that all the time. Even like they say, oh, one won't hurt you, but it really does, especially when you really want to get to a certain fitness goal. You have to really maintain that discipline. I know like I think like 3 weeks ago, I really like I enjoyed myself on the weekend. Like I kind of ate whatever I want, and I was doing a little bit of partying on the weekend, like by myself, obviously, but like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into detail how I was partying. But on the weekend, I was enjoying myself a lot, and then even during the week, like I think my dad made a batch of like cookies, but they were like the peanut butter and they had like chocolate chips in them. I was like, oh, and I destroyed a bunch, and I felt really bad. But so that part's really hard right now with the dieting. But I think when you were asking me like, how's that gonna contribute when I move out? Um, I think with that, I'm definitely gonna have to make some changes. But I think I could still eat healthy, but I can't. I can't be buying chicken breast and fresh vegetables all the time because that really the money adds up and it does get expensive. I'm fortunate to live at home right now because my parents do buy pretty much half of what I need to eat.
Right.
So, like more like chicken breast. Once in a while, I don't tend to buy chicken breast anymore. It's just too expensive. So I'll buy chicken and then I just take the fat off and pretty much I have really lean meat. Um, but like once in a while, I'll buy some chicken breast just to kind of, and then I'll have to put the extra work to take things off the bone or have to take the fat or skin off or whatever. But yeah, when I move out on my own, I'll probably have to beat around the bush a little bit. So maybe I might buy chicken that I wouldn't normally buy. But if I put the extra work in, I can kind of still eat healthy. I can eat healthy, but I might have to put more work into it, and I'm willing to do that. The thing about fitness and when you really start to work towards your goal, whether that be just lose a bunch of weight or lose weight, put on muscle, which is kind of my goal, is to lose a lot more fat and gain my muscle.
Right.
When you work towards that goal, it definitely does get addicted. It does get addictive. Um, I don't think it's totally a bad thing. You could get addicted to a lot worse things, but it is an addictive thing. And I never really thought it was gonna be that addictive. But once you kind of see your results, it does get addictive. You're like, wow, look at all these results I'm getting. I could just keep pushing, keep pushing. As much as I hate eating the same thing almost every day, it's just like I just can't stop because like this will help me get to my goal. Um, so yeah, sorry, I kind of got off topic. You asked me how my diet was and how it contributed to living on my own, but yeah.
No.
So what do you normally do? Like I know that you say you just worked out, so I know you tend to work out. Um, I guess I'm assuming on a daily basis, maybe,
Yeah,
but
I like what you said about goals. Let's use these two words and both start with G, goals and guilt. So you want to eat good so you can achieve your goals. You have that one day, maybe if you do or if you don't, we call it a cheat day, right?
uh,
And
yeah,
or if you eat things off your cheat day, you get guilty,
yes,
and that's me. I have type 1 diabetes. So before my diet wasn't bad. Now you just have to change it. And again, what is called like limits. So instead of having that normal size piece of cake, you limit to just a slice. You feed your guilt, you still gain a little bit of a goal. You get that taster and you feel good because the more you resist something, the more you want it.
hmm
When somebody just tells you, oh, don't do that, oh, you can't do that, you kind of want to do it more. That's a human thing. So, oh, you can't eat that piece of cake. Well, yes, you can, just a sliver or one cookie instead of two. something like that. Getting to workouts, like you said, I try and work out every day. It not only makes me feel good physically, mentally, but it helps me control my sugars. And diabetes is a funny thing. It kind of pertains to COVID slightly. The higher the sugars you have in your body reacts and it causes inflammation. This inflammation puts you at now a higher risk for COVID.
Right.
So it's not all diabetics get it or put them at a higher risk. It's the people with uncontrolled sugars.
Right.
So pertaining to food wise, your diet has to be good. You have to have your vegetables, carbs, and protein kind of at every meal. Don't overdo it because then you'll see changes in your body. I kind of hover towards good carbs, grains, oatmeal, cream of wheat, quinoa over bad carbs.
Breads.
Breads, white breads, cereal. I haven't had cereal in a few years and I feel better because I feel that's just kind of, I could eat 2, 3 bowls of it and you were still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a filler food, right?
100%. Okay, I don't mean to. I don't want to like stop you where you are, but can you just pause for? I just have to use the washroom really
Yep.
quick. Sorry, you were talking about like you get your good carbs in and about cereal and stuff.
Yeah. And like you said, you have 3 things you can do with fitness. You
Mm-hmm.
can lose weight, stay the same, or gain muscle. Now, to lose weight, like you said, with fat, you have to either eat less fat or burn more calories because then you'll drop weight, which is good and bad in instance. You can stay the same, which means the calories burned is equal to the calories taken in, or kind of in that sense, right? Or you can gain muscle, which means you need a surplus of calories, which is hard for a lot of people because eating more food costs more money. So you're going to come to that point where, yes, I look really good, but it's damaging my wallet.
Yep.
So you have to find that happy medium. And I think I'm there now. I eat about 3 or 4 meals a day and maybe a snack at night. Healthy snack. I have an apple if I can with peanut butter, because then you have your good sugars, good carbs, and protein. Or my fruits and vegetables. I'm now a fan of like cottage cheese. You add that different protein or different set of uh, nutrients in your body, right?
Right.
But as per workouts, again, I said that before, I like to work out almost every day. I'll take a day or 2 off because you can't put your body and joints through all that stress without taking a day off.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll take 1 day of just stretching. So you put your body through the motions or stretch it out and then have a good sleep, and you should be pretty primed for the next day.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. Now with like with you're talking about diabetes here. I actually that's another reason why I do take care of myself because diabetes does run in my family,
Yeah.
especially my dad's side. With my mother's side, like heart issues. Um, Most of the people in my family are overweight. I mean, that's just the today's world. That's modern society. A lot of people are. Um, but like with my family, like I said on my dad's side, like my grandfather had diabetes. I think my one grandmother had diabetes. I think a couple of other people on my dad's side had diabetes. I'm pretty sure. So I got to be careful with that. That can be genetic, or I mean just diet, well, like weight and diet wise, obviously. So I do have to be careful with things like that, and that's why I do take care of myself. But when you were mentioning about sugars and things like that, that's actually one thing I learned out of the whole fitness journey when I got my coach. I thought like, oh, I can't have any sugar. Like, I mean, obviously you're gonna get some sugar from certain foods in your dieting and certain diets. But like he was like telling me, so he said, I think my first couple weeks, maybe the first month when I was training under him, he wanted me to have like I think it was a shake with blueberries and water, blueberries, protein powder, and then mix it up. and then he wanted me like any kid's cereal, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like it, like that's not like very good for you. And he's like, no, trust me, like just take it. And I'm just thinking, kids cereal, really. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do what I'm told. And I was dropping weight. And what he explained was it's good to have your sugar after your workout, especially really hard workouts, because
Yep. Yep.
when you're using the muscle, it takes all the like the sugars out of your like the muscle uses like the glucose, like your
Yep.
glucose levels get depleted because of the physical activity you're using. So, um,
Correct.
like I had an understanding of it. Like I knew that you need your protein, you need your carbs after your workouts, but I never really thought about it that way. And so when I first heard about it, like I said, I was like, this is nuts. You got to be kidding me. But yeah, no, I was still dropping weight. I was still getting fit, and I was getting more fitter. And yeah, it's crazy how the more you learn every day.
You look at that. I won't get too deep in it for the watchers because it's not my expertise at my level right now. But you look at sugar, just plain sugar. You can take sugar and put it in candy bars and drinks and that. Oh man, this tastes really good. Sugar is an energy, helps your body produce energy. Sugar is a quick energy. That's why if you give it to kids, you've heard the term, oh, they're hyper off sugar or something like that. If you eat an intake, it also happens with carbs too. Intake it and don't burn it, what happens? It turns into fat. So if you eat a bunch of chocolate bars, yeah, your fat content in your body may go up because you're not burning it. And it's harder to burn. So there's like different sugars, right? Your natural sugars in your fruit, and then your refined sugars in your candy bars and things like that.
Hmm.
And your body digests them differently. So that's how that gets affected. And while we're on the topic of gym, let's go on the topic just of one point of supplements. There is a supplement out there, and it's like a mass gainer. Yeah, some people don't have time for food, so they grab a mass gainer to try and gain weight. You look at that mass gainer, the amount of calories, the amount of carbohydrates is very high, and the amount of sugar is very high. So that's how you're going to gain it, just out of sugar. Are you better off eating like a very thick, carb dense shake? I'm going to say yes, because your body can break that down and use that better than it can these sugary or carb heavy weight
Yes.
gain powders, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, no, I totally agree. With the mass gainers, like I get it, I know what it's meant for. I like you said, but I think the best way, and this was another thing I had to learn was if you want to build muscle, just if you just want to build muscle in general, it doesn't matter if you want to cut fat at the same time or whatever your goal is. But say everybody has a goal and just building muscle, you have to eat. You have primarily your protein needs to come from food, actual food,
Correct.
because
Yes.
the way people look at it is, oh, I just drink shakes. Well, no, it's good. You should have at least a shake per day, or using your protein powder once or twice a day, which is good. But it is a supplement. It's like saying like it reminds me of the movie. It reminds me of the movie Daybreakers, and it's totally different analogy, but like, okay, so in the movie Daybreakers, everybody's a vampire,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they get to the point where, yeah, where they're losing food. They don't have many humans left to feed on, so they're trying to look for a way like a blood substitute. So the blood substitute, the guy says, you know, people are willing to pay for the real thing, and it might keep people alive, but it's not really the same thing. So it's not really going to benefit them as much. So it's a kind of the same thing where, you look at protein powder as like you look, your body is like a car. It needs fuel. So yeah, you feed this all this protein powder, you feed all this stuff, these supplements in you. It will help you. It will help you go, but only so far. Whereas you take whole foods, things that like whole carbs, like whole proteins, and it's gonna make that car go 2 hours instead of 30 minutes. So, like it's great and it's a good supplement and it will help you like build your muscle, but you can't rely on your body to do that. Um,
I agree, and that's I don't want to say a sensitive term for people, but each person has a different goal. So let's use me for example. I do take protein. Am I taking the right protein? Does it work for me? Definitely. There's different types, and I've read before the best type to build muscle will be whey protein. Casein protein you take at night because it's a slow digestive. So uh, wherever you want to take your protein during the day. And as well, I just read yesterday 15 minutes to half an hour after your workout is the best time to take a protein shake. Uh, that's your body digests it and it's easier to go to your muscles. So it's all about that.
Yeah,
Again,
you
like
want to. Sorry.
uh, again, like you said, you need almost an increase of protein too to help you gain muscle. But to get protein, that costs money. You can eat zero 0.8 to almost 1.5 grams of protein per body weight. I worked with a guy previously and he weighed 180 pounds. And he says, well, I'll just add another pork chop to supper, another chicken breast to lunch. Yeah, I could do it for a month, he said, but after that, then it gets expensive. So
Yeah.
you have to find that happy medium again, right?
Yes, I do. And that's kind of why it's good to a lot of people. For a lot of people, it's good to cut fat and lower your body weight because then you don't have to use as much.
Correct.
Like for myself, like I'm probably easily right now, and because my workouts aren't as effective, um, like they're not as high intensity. Like I'm not doing really like much lifts or anything like that. I'm not eating as much protein. Not like I'm not cutting it as much. I'm probably still doing about 200 grams of protein per day because I'm weighing about 186 maybe, like 186, 187. Probably weighing a little bit more just because with being off and I've probably indulged a little bit. But I mean, I'm still getting more protein than I actually weigh. So, um, yeah,
It's
no,
all about
it sucks.
balance too. So, like we said before, there's different ways you can get your protein. You're
Mm-hmm.
not just eating meat or taking protein powder. Peas contain protein. Quinoa contains protein, so you can get it from different sources. I'm sure
100%.
you've heard of the term meat sweats. If
Yeah,
you eat a lot of meat, it takes your body energy to break down that meat.
right.
So you're actually using energy to break down meat in your body. It causes you to sweat because it increases your body temperature. So it actually stresses your body a little bit.
Hmm.
Consuming a large amount, not a hamburger here and there, but it does slow you down and it may hurt your stomach and digestive the more you do it.
Right.
It's kind of a funny thing. Your body is an amazing thing, but it also has its quirks and things as well.
Hmm.
Now, I'm just going to switch topics here. I'm beginning to be a little movie buff. I'm starting to watch about a movie a night now just to spend some time. Have you watched any good movies recently?
Uh, I did see. I saw that movie off of Netflix. It's called Extraction. It wasn't too
Oh,
bad.
yep, yep.
It was pretty good. With Chris Hemsworth. Um,
I enjoyed that too. I seen that last week. That was
yeah,
one of. I'd see it again.
yeah, it's pretty good. I did rewatch The Rise of Skywalker just because it went on Disney Plus.
Yep.
Um,
What is your take on that one?
how I would describe it, it's what The Last Jedi should have been.
Okay.
Because The Last Jedi was completely garbage. Like it was, and I love Star Wars, but The Last Jedi, it made the Phantom Menace look good. And I'm being honest, I really
Yep.
did. Um, like Luke Skywalker was cool. Like I wish they had a different approach with him. And he said, and Mark Hamill said himself, like he didn't like how they treated his character. Um, but I mean, I think, and I had this conversation with, who was it? I forget who it was, but we both kind of agreed that Kylo Ren, like Ben Solo, really made the next three movies. Like his character really, I think, if you look at if you look at the sorry, like a dry throat here. If you look at the original series, um, probably Darth Vader was like the what Of course, Luke Skywalker was a main character too, but Darth Vader was like the figurehead of the series.
Yep.
And then if you look at the other series with like the when Anakin, focusing on Anakin, I found Ewan McGregor. He was kind of the face of it. I mean, of course, when uh, when Anakin came in, he was kind of the face of it. But really, I think Ewan McGregor really made the storyline. And then this one, it was more Kylo Ren kind of, and it really was like if you really pay attention to the movies, the whole story is really about Kylo Ren. Like, yes, Rey comes in and she discovers herself as a Jedi, and she's Force sensitive, but at the end of the day, I think the whole premise of the whole thing was about Kylo Ren. It wasn't so much about her. I think what it kind of seemed to be was they were trying to make it about Rey, but by accident, I think it kind of made it out to be more about, because really the whole movie is about trying to get Kylo Ren back to the light side. That's really what it's all about.
Use
Like,
the
yes,
word.
it has Rey like discovering herself, and she gets powerful, but most of the movies, it's most like 2 out of the 3 movies is about her trying to get him to come back to the light side. So it kind of it reminds me of like the original series when Luke's trying to get Darth Vader back. Well, I guess the one movie, like the Return of the Jedi, was really where he was trying to turn him back. But yeah, like the same kind of thing. Like Darth Vader, like 2 out of the 3 movies, it was really about Darth Vader and the conflict in him. And yeah, I
the
think
whole the whole 9 series was Skywalker, so it had to do again Anakin the first, the Darth Vader in the middle 3, and the end 3. I do agree with you, Kylo Ren. The kind of mysterious figure was Rey because we really didn't know where she was or what she was doing. More towards the middle or the 8th movie or the 9th movie.
mhm.
I like to use the word redemption because 4, 5, 6 was redemption of Darth Vader. He redeemed himself and went back to the Jedi, Return of the Jedi. The next one is redeeming Kylo Ren and his issues.
Yeah.
So everybody's tempted a little bit, whether it be real life or Star Wars. I feel you can relate real life to Star Wars in a lot of things. I'm being a little nerdy here, but you can.
No,
And the redemption of Kylo Ren in his bad ways, and he goes to good. He ended up saving her, and he died. So it's all about that. And in the end, she spoilers ahead is a Palpatine, and she kind of redeemed that name. He was bad and he was bad, and now she's what they call a gray Jedi, or she's in the middle. She's not good, she's not dark, she's right in the middle, and that's why her lightsaber is gold. Red means you're bad, and the other colors mean you're good, and gold is kind of a neutral, being more of a Jedi guard. So she's going to teach the future, which if they go ahead and do Star Wars future after Rise of Skywalker, it's totally going to be different because there are no Jedi per se, right? Just continuing one more second about the movies, The Last Jedi number 8. Was it a good cinematic movie? Definitely. Was it a good Star Wars movie? I'm still in the middle on that one. Rise of Skywalker now, was it a good cinematic movie? I'm going to say 1 thumbs down, 1 thumbs up for me. Was it a good Star Wars movie? It was good, but I feel it was a little rushed. That's where I'm at on that one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely liked it better than the Last Jedi. I will say, yeah, it was a bit rushed. But there wasn't like if you take there wasn't a whole lot of story develop. There wasn't a lot of character development for Poe and get the guy's name wrong.
Finn.
Finn.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you find out where they kind of come from. Like Finn was like a first order stormtrooper, but besides him coming back and being and doing the right thing and working for the resistance, he really doesn't have much character development. You think that there might be something there between him and Rey. No,
Yep.
nothing happens. Like yeah, you can see that they're good friends, and you kind of see a couple points where he might have that love interest for her, and he cares about her, but you don't really see anything else besides that. And then him and Rose, which I won't get started. I think Rose is a terrible character. Then there was something going on between there. Somehow they start loving each other after like one half of a movie, or like the love interest anyway. And then the third one, him and that other chick,
Jaina.
yeah, that one chick that was, she was a stormtrooper as well, and turning over as well, and it just a lot of things in there just, yeah, I would say they rushed the character development. They rushed the story. I like the fact that they did at the end of the movie when with her lightsaber, she actually has like a gold or yellow or
Yep.
whatever. I like that they did that. I don't understand why she planted her lightsabers. I don't understand that. Um, I would have liked to kind of see. I didn't like the ending either. Like I didn't like the fact that before they show Rey in Tatooine, they just kind of cut the bullshit, and there's no like ending to kind of know what's gonna happen with Poe or Finn, or if ever like I don't know. There was just a lot of different things that like at the end, when Rey kisses Ben Solo, I understood that point. I could understand that point because you kind of saw the love interest kind of coming in. Like you kind of see their connection, but there wasn't really. I didn't see the actual love interest. It wasn't like they were, maybe had something at the beginning, and then when she found out he was bad and he was this cliche. No, it was just they kissed, and it's like what the what? And but I can understand that because he did what he needed to do and bring her back to life. So it could have been interpreted as like a thank you and just happy, and that kind of like, wow, you came back, like now I can see you as Ben, not Kylo Ren. And I didn't like the fact that he had to die at the end, but at the same time, what were they gonna really do? He was the one responsible for killing a whole bunch of people and all that. So what, he turns to the good side, and then everyone can welcome back in open arms. So I can understand that they killed him off that way, and for the reason like it's kind of his redemption, and it was like part of his story to he knew that he would die, so in order to save someone else's life and have that redemption, he gave his life for hers, kind of thing. So I can understand that too. I don't
It's Star Wars is about continuity too. And you see, I'm going to go to a different universe now. Marvel kind of plans their movies and what's going to happen. And
Yes,
I think
exactly.
Star Wars, Marvel's Disney, Star Wars is Disney, and Disney put their money into the storyboards for Marvel for this one. And they didn't do such as the best continuity. It is still there. But again, there's a lot of behind the scenes stories that we don't see or don't know yet. And they're probably in the books.
Mm-hmm.
So Finn was supposed to tell Rey that he was force sensitive. That was what he was supposed to say. And Poe and Rey were supposed to kind of start something. And like you said, what happened between Rose and Finn? They do it for a movie, and that's it. And he falls for Jaina, and oh, we'll see what happens there, and yada yada. So kind of there's a lot of here and there. But
Yeah.
getting back to the main two characters, now Kylo Ren was a Skywalker, right? Ben Solo Skywalker, and Rey was a Palpatine. So with both of them kind of gone, Ben is dead, Leia's dead, Han's dead. There's no Solo, and Solo. Luke's gone now, so there's no Skywalker. And on the other side, there's no Palpatine. So for the last so many years in the galaxy, we knew it was Palpatine versus Skywalker, and that's gone now. They're at peace, and that's why I do agree with you. The ending was a little funny. She should have just buried the lightsabers and they called it a day. Or when they were in their party at the end of the movie, called it a day right there, like they did at Return of the Jedi. Everybody's happy. We know what happens. Boom, close the movie. But they wanted to tie in Skywalker Ranch, go back on Tatooine, bury the lightsabers, where both Luke and Leia's lightsaber, where everything started, everything ended.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to say, "Who are you? I'm a Skywalker," unless she's taking on the name or using that, saying, "Hey, now I'm a sort of a Jedi." So a lot of people have their different opinions on that, and I'm going to leave mine right there.
Yeah. I would say so. I tell me if I'm wrong. So when Anakin Skywalker was born, obviously his mother, she was born without a father. Or sorry, he was fathered without a father, but
Yeah,
technically
he
it would have
was
been.
conceived without a father. Is that what you're looking
Oh
for?
yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So he was conceived without a father, but wasn't it Palpatine who pretty much created him in a
Uh,
sense?
yes and no. I'm going to say that because, yes, we think that, but do we know it 100% yet? That's the kicker, right?
But if that's true, and he was created or fathered by Palpatine, like in a sense, like
Yep, yep.
fathered, then he also fathered Rey. So technically, she is a Skywalker in terms of the blood,
Right, right.
like a
With that.
distant relative.
And
Kind of.
so you're saying to me, with what you're saying, and think about it for a minute, he fathered Anakin and then he fathered Rey. So is Emperor Palpatine Rey's grandpa, or is it Darth Vader? Or how does that family tree work? That's a messed up family tree.
Well, no. So it would be like they both have the same father, or they would
Right.
have this. Yeah, they would have the same. So this is really, yeah, it is kind of weird. It's kind of a theory of mine. So it would be like, so he would have, like, let's just say for the sake that he did father, in a sense, fathered Anakin, and then Anakin had Luke, and then and Luke and Leia had Ben. So that'd be like technically Ben's great grandfather, and it's Rey's grandfather. So in a way, Rey is part of the Skywalker family in a sense because they
It's
all
like a
come from the
weird,
same blood.
it's a weird thing. Yeah.
It is kind of weird. So technically, she could be a Skywalker, but not. So she could take on the last name, but it's like it's hard to kind of get your head around. The more I think about, it, the more the deeper I get in, the more I just need to let it go because it's just gonna drive me crazy.
Let's take one step further on that. And I don't know if you've ever watched any Star Wars series, such as the Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian Resistance.
Mandalorian, yes.
Okay, so if you get into a show called Star Wars Rebels, uh, that it's a different set of characters, but it shows you how your theory is totally possible. There's a thing called, if I have the name correctly, like Force, like a temple, a Jedi temple or Force gates that brings you into a time portal that you can go to certain points in time and enter. So he could go back in time, enter the time frame where Anakin wasn't born yet, somehow conceive with Anakin's mother, and then come back. And have this set this plan into motion per se. But that's pretty out there, and we don't know how confirmed that is yet.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot to think about for sure.
But definitely Mandalorian season 2 is on my list.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of things coming up with that. Boba Fett is apparently coming back. I
and
won't spoil anything else. And another Mandalorian from Rebels, Sabine Wren, apparently is coming back.
and
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
I
cool. And apparently they're trying to cast I'm trying to think of her name.
Rosario Dawson.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that would be a good casting. I think she would do well. Um, yeah, I don't want to really get too much more into the Star Wars topic,
We
because we
could
are
be here
running up
for
on,
hours.
yeah, we're actually running up on time here. Um, but I don't mean to cut us off here, but we are running up on time.
Hey, that's all right.
But I do want to thank you for coming on here, man.
Hey, anytime. I enjoyed it, and I'd be totally willing down the road to do another one.
Well, you just might, because I've had a couple people on a couple times in a row. So,
Yep,
yeah, I'm more than willing to have you on again.
good.
Been great.
I've
Uh,
got a variety of other topics we can cover.
Alrighty, man.
You've been a good host, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll get to see you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Take care, and may the force be with you.
You too.
All right. See ya.